Yeah, the tie-in would be into dioramas, and I'm going to bring a couple pieces I'm working on currently to give you some ideas on how I go about putting things together. 90% of the pieces I build are 100% scratch built. They're not kits at all. They don't have anything other than some pictures. Normally I'm duplicating existing structures off of period photographs. So this is a stamp mill, which is the way they process gold and silver ore, pounding it down into small things and processing it with mercury and everything else. So it's extremely toxic, but it gives you an idea on how things are built. This is 40 weight styrene, which is the basic material I use for exteriors or for the interior frames. I brace with 188 by 188 strips, and then from there is simply just whatever exterior materials we've got. This, in this case, was Campbell corrugated material in HO scale. They also make that in O scale, which would be 148, which will work really well for your 1/35 scale pieces if you wanted to do that. It's paper thin. You can cut it with an X-Acto knife. These were all trimmed from the sheet stock that they have. The windows were all opened up on this so that they'd be vented and that sort. So this one done very similar with the interior piece, but then the exterior is a brick material. And they do make this in O scale also. These are all HO. These three I brought because the client next week is HO. But this is a brick material. It's, when you look at it, you think, boy, this is expensive at $20 a package, but there's 2 sheets in there. It's the largest brick material you can get, so I can cover a decent sized building without having joints, which is a problem for butting any of this type of material up, because you get a straight line no matter what you do. So, and they make 15 different designs on this in HO and in O scale. And they do like Flemish and British bond style bricks also, so you can do Europeans out of it. This one was built very similar, and it's in the process of getting a interior. And you can see that there's the start of one of the counters right there too. But they're just built up a little piece at a time. The cornices, any of this detail work is simply just laid up piece of piece. It's real easy to do. And you really can't make a mistake on it in terms of, boy, this isn't prototypical, because everyone laid them up that way in real life, and everyone did them different. So yours may not look like the next one down the road, but they're all going to be correct. But anyway, that's basically the structure way I do things. If you have any questions, this metal material, which is real metal, was laid on with Walther's goo, which is essentially contact cement in a tube. And then the brick and all that stuff is done up with Tester's liquid cements. So I also brought down some other things that the military and the modeling group might be interested in. These are molds that I use for rocks, and that's a commercially made piece. These are molds that I've done up with RTV to make various pieces and that sort. That's one of the rocks actually cast off the center of that. And I'm going to do a little bit of demonstration with colors and that sort with this. I just generally brought a lot of stuff that I thought that would be useful for the military or the car modelers and that sort. we're going to take a look at that here in a minute. That's asphalt material right there that makes a gorgeous asphalt on it. The coloring that I use is 90% alcohol mixed with aircraft interior black on this one, and this is leather. And the leather I got, Roger, I'm sorry, but I got this from Hobby Lobby, and it's extremely, don't ever buy their paints because, if I can even get this open, probably not, but if I turn that upside down with the lid off, it'd take 5 minutes for a drop to come out. It's perfect because it settles in the bottom, and I can vary the amount. That everyone thinks that to do rock work and everything, it just takes a long time, but it's not. It's just a real simple technique. I do 40 or 50 feet of rock work for a client in an hour and a half. I usually use a half-inch brush even. This just happened to be the one that I grabbed. But.
So on those mixtures, are you mixing it with enamel paint?
Yes, they're no, they're acrylics.
They're acrylics.
They're acrylics. They don't blend and are 100%, and I can go in and touch the bottom and get. We can get.
What are they thinned with?
90% alcohol,
Okay.
and that'll come out really. When we give that a chance to dry, that's going to look really nice. See right there. That'll dry out here in just a couple of minutes.
And you didn't seal?
Nope. Oh, no. I want it to soak in because if you chip it at all and it's sealed, you're going to get white. Mm-hmm. If it's allowed to soak in like this and you chip it, you've got color in there a little ways.
Is that hydrocal or?
Yes, this is hydrocal, but it works also with just regular plaster too. But that will go out really nice. And then I did a little demonstration piece. There went rock. This is a mold that came out of Britain, and it's actually designed for 1/35th scale cobblestones. I use it for stone walls when I'm building foundations for buildings and that sort. So, but it's a real nice little mold. Makes really good little blocks out.
You better keep an eye on that thing, Jack, or it won't leave this building with you.
Wouldn't leave the building. Not necessarily we got it.
I said with him, it wouldn't leave it.
Anyway, one of the things that you can do with things like this, because these are individually laid up, you can make shell holes or dents or not 100% perfect material. This was laid up on a piece of 40, just a piece of scrap that I had. Dug the hole out of the styrene underneath and come in and put a little dirt into this. Get our shell hole in there.
Yes, you do. You should buy it immediately.
Who said anything about buying?
Yeah, gonna run off my stuff. That's not good.
I don't run.
That's good because I don't chase. And then we've got some leftovers, small pieces that have been stained up. And really crumbly. This is wet water, which is water with a couple drops of dishwashing detergent. That breaks up the surface tension on it. And then this is just essentially 30 or 50% thinned white glue. And give that a little bit of time and it will dry out. All the white will disappear and you will have what looks like a shell hole. Gone. If we wanted to go in with some other materials, a lot of the stuff that I buy, because cost is not an issue for me because it's all passed on to the clients, it allows me to experiment with a lot of materials that are fairly expensive when you really get down to it. Notch is a German company.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. But good. That is leaves. Actually, leaf material. So if you wanted to put a couple leaves on it or whatever, it's available. This is what they call their foliage materials, which unfortunately is now only available in these sets. It used to be individually marketed per color, and it was a lot easier to get hold of. But here again, it's the leaf materials and that sort that you can use on the wire or the like fishnet materials to get foliage, get that stuff up. JTT makes a lot of material that is available in O scale that would be useful for modeling. They have all different types of flowers and that sort. They make some corn plants. They make really good, probably the best I've seen, cattails. You get like 30 of them or so per package for $8 or $9.
They use the corn stalks that one of my room.
Yeah.
72nd diorama.
Yeah. Yeah, the HO size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did shorten them a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you really don't have to because they can go a little bit longer. And then this was something I was building at the show, and I just wanted to show you all another technique. The traditional way of doing a diorama is you get a wood base and build up on top of that. Well, this doesn't have any wood at all. This is 2 inches of styrofoam laid up, which allowed me to cut the foxholes in. Then it's painted over. Normally I use Sweet Georgia Brown. I get it in sample size from Home Depot, and that'll last me until this is gone hard, but there's only about 1/8 of an inch left in this. When I'm doing just small work like this or a base around a structure, this lasts me for a month or so, and I don't have to worry about it going hard the way I would a gallon size. The dirt's just sprinkled on top of that wet paint then, and then after that's had a chance to dry a little bit, the scenery material's put on. This cracked edge, I can come back in with a little bit of the dirt and simply fill it back in, and it'll disappear. We'll have to repair the scenery in terms of color, but we can get that to disappear. And then it's just coated with a piece of 40 weight plastic on the outside and painted, and a much cheaper base than going in with a polished piece of wood. It still looks finished. If you want a real finish on it, you can take a piece of the angle from over there and put on each corner, and that'll finish off the corners nice.
It's not going to warp.
It won't warp at all. It's not going to go anywhere with you. I put the styrofoam together using Arlene's tacky glue, which gives you a little bit of time to adjust it. Give it a couple days and it's rock hard. It's not going to, even between a couple layers of styrofoam, not going to go anywhere. There's no weight to this at all. So it's easier to carry, especially if you're doing a larger base. I've done things up to 4x8 like this with 3 or 4 layers of building insulation put together, and they don't move, they don't warp. One person can carry the whole thing. So the dirt that I'm using, I do for specific customers and specific locations. I actually have the dirt from that physical location, and we dry it out and sterilize it and everything else. This is Scenic Express, and it's already done that way. And while when you first open the thing, you are going to fumigate the house because they lace it with mothballs, and quite often there's a whole mothball in it. This one doesn't have one anymore. But it allows you to make dirt look like dirt because you're really using the product. You can put the road tracks in and that sort, and it's really gonna come out looking nice. It's better than anything else I've utilized, and I do almost exclusively model bases and whole train layouts the size of the store in this material. So, and
What do? You buy the styrofoam and then put it in there?
yeah, I cut the piece of styrofoam. It's just a 4x8 sheet of styrofoam, 1/2 inch. It's easiest to work with because a standard Exacta blade, number 11, will actually go all the way through a sheet, so you can cut all the way on it. I'm gonna say this is Asphalt. Again, from a company. This is Arizona Rock, and this is going to give us a really, really nice looking asphalt material. Yeah, I'll mix on that. Carborundum or something? It is one of the material. Arizona Rock only deals with natural materials, and what they do is this is the powder left over from the grinding of their basalt, I believe. Now, if you have there's 2 ways of doing this. This is my preferred method, is to cut a base for the roadway because you can get a sharp edge to it. I come back in, if I want to put a concrete curb or anything, I can run it right up there, pre-painted, and don't have to worry about it. This grayish color that you're seeing on top from the glue will disappear, and it will, when I first wetted it down, it will look just like that when we're done. If we have a lump or something by accident that we want to get out of there, you could take a sanding pad and just go right over the top and then spray it back. It'll gray out again, but you can spray it back with just a little bit of water, and the dust will disappear and it becomes asphalt. But that's when it's dry. It's going to have the grainy material look that asphalt's got. I use it in 87th all the way up to 48th, and it comes out really looking nice. So, normally, guys, I demonstrate all day at shows for railroads and simply build things and talk. So if y'all have questions or comments, feel free to ask anytime.
When you're cutting your big pieces of sheet styrene for the structure, what kind of saw or blade or mechanism are you using to get, really? It's not a little table saw or not a little chop saw? Wow.
Now, a saw is going to generate too much heat,
Yeah,
and
melt.
you're going to melt it and get an edge. Now, even cutting using these, you'll get a raised edge on both sides of the cut line, and you just simply go in with a sanding pad and take that off. Obviously, if I'm using or gonna cover it with other materials, a heavy duty one like this is gonna cut really fast and be fine. I've got really fine ones if that's gonna be the finished concrete surface and that sort.
You could use paper cutter.
Yeah, you can. And I don't go through anything or normally use anything heavier than 40 weight, although this roof is 60. But 40 is my preferred because you can cut through it really quick. It only takes 2 or 3 slices, and you only have to, cut it partially. If you look on some of the inside of these windows, well, before the windows were put in, because they've got a spacer on, you'd see that where I broke the windows out, sometimes it'll be scalloped on the inside because I don't cut all the way through so that piece just drops out. I cut until I push through in one corner and then just pop it. I'm much more into doing this as fast as possible as opposed to.
Do you ever use like those mat cutters for framing?
I haven't now on it. It's possible to get a really straight cut with those though. So the only thing you've got to do, and I know I've made a joke about it a couple times, but that's about 2 days worth of knife blades for me. As soon as they start showing any sign of dragging, point chips off or whatever, they're gone. They're in the trash, and we go to a new one. I buy the 100 packs from Roger once a week. A couple other little details that I do. These are for 148, but it's possible to use these for 135th without any trouble. This is simply the piece of the tubing over there. The knife blades run in the end to thin the end out so it doesn't look like it's 4-inch thick can. A small piece of 05s put on the bottom to make the bottom and then the lid. And you can make open cans and that sort. The labels are period taken off the internet. There's another one, just a rusty tin can. Or a frying pan. So the little details like that are just really, they're easy to make. I go through and I'll do a dozen of them here. I'll do a dozen of these in at a time, and then I can spread them around building bases or wherever, and they really add a lot of pop to it.
Oh, you want the
You're
other one?
talking,
Sorry.
a tenth of a cent for materials in that. I mean, you do have to buy 5 tubes to get, the 1/4 inch you're gonna need, but.
Now, did you make these too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
But the details are things like that are just really easy to do. You can build up a dozen of them in no time at all, and spread half a dozen cans around the foxhole, and you've got where it looks like it's been used. Now there's Australian companies. I've looked at some this scale stuff for my out of comfort zone piece, and there's some Australian companies making open C-wrap boxes and everything, ammunition boxes and everything. So I'll also build in 148 open boxes with 1-inch thick material, scale 1-inch thick material, wood, and do fruit crates and that sort. I don't have any of those with me, but open wooden crate for ammunition or whatever would be easy to do 1/35th scale. So.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys?
This stuff here,
Uh-huh.
they make that something big enough to simulate cobblestone?
They do, but it's I didn't bring a piece from the O scale, but their random stone might look all right. And there's their paving stones.
Well, you know, you used to be able to get, they would come in strips about so long, so wide.
Yeah.
The company stopped it.
Is in business
Their
anymore.
field stone, their field stone is perfect.
Yeah. I don't usually use their stonework because I like to actually have a lot more difference in thicknesses and colors and everything. But they do make some stuff. The only thing I've used is they make a fake concrete, or a concrete block that is fake stone. It's got a texture on the outside, and I've used that on a couple structures because that's what they were actually built with. And so the uniform, every block is exactly the same facing, is no problem for that. But that stuff is really good. And you would not think that N-Scale Architect makes stuff for large scale, but they do. On it, because they started out as a 1/64 or 1/60 scale company.
Where do you get this?
Daryl or Roger might be able to order it, but Daryl carries it in stock.
See if he's got something